What are the top Florida beachfront seaside towns to retire in? Well, that's exactly what we're going to go over in today's video, and stick around to the end because there's a real gem that you might want to check out. So let's get into it. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Haigh, and I lead a trusted group of professionals, and we help people buy and sell property here in the Southeast Florida area. And for that matter, we work with agents all over the state of Florida. So if you happen to be in Michigan or New York or Switzerland for that matter, and you're considering moving to Florida, hey, please reach out. We'd love to have a conversation with you about what's important to you about buying or selling property in Florida. Now, this is part 2 in a 2-part series about budget beach towns in Florida. So in last week's video, we went over the top 10. We actually went from top 10 to top 5, and coming in at number 5 was Sebastian. Today, we're going to be going over the top 4, and number 4 is Deerfield Beach. So Deerfield Beach is a little bit farther south. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention here, the difference between, say, a Sebastian and a Deerfield Beach is price for the median, which we're going to talk about, and also the accessibility. There's going to be a lot less accessibility to some of these things that we talk about as far as healthcare, about access to major airports, access to beaches. Sebastian, you're going to have access to beaches, but there's not going to be a lot of people on it. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe that's what you don't want. I don't know. Now, access to that bright line. This bright line is a really, really big deal. Why? Think of it of having accessibility from Southeast Miami all the way up into Orlando, and they've talked about bringing it up to Tampa eventually lately. So let's dive in. I'm going to zoom into Deerfield Beach and show you some of these things that we're talking about. So Deerfield Beach, we always started off with the median home price. Now, we did include condominiums in here, and you can get entry level for $180,000, and that's going to be for a condo. Now, the single-family homes are going to go up higher. You're going to be up to around $500,000 for that median single-family home. Now, what is Deerfield Beach all about other than having that great accessibility for a low price to get in? What it is you've got incredible access to West Palm, which you have your airport here. You also have incredible access to Hollywood International Airport. Look, you're really split right here. You could be 30 to 45 minutes from either one of these major international airports. Also, if you wanted to go down to Miami, where you maybe wanted a direct flight to Switzerland or something like that, you can go down to Miami, or you could go Deerfield Beach up to Orlando International Airport, and the Bright Line will actually connect you with all of these. That's why that Bright Line is such a big deal on this East Coast over here. So let's say, for instance, as well as a hospital, we have Broward North Health System. Now, this is Broward County, that is the Fort Lauderdale area, and you have a great hospital system in Broward North. Now, let's say maybe that wasn't the healthcare provider you wanted to go with. You could always go and hop on the Tri-Rail and go down to Miami. Maybe you wanted to go to the Sinai Clinic. They have an incredible cancer treatment and brain stuff going on down there. Or maybe you wanted to go north, and you could drive up here to Stewart, where we are right now, and we have the Cleveland Clinic here. So you have great access to hospitals here because you can see the homes. This is very, very densely populated. So when you have a denser population, you're actually going to have a more robust hospital healthcare system. Also, access to beaches. It's all about the beach down here. Look at, you even got Royal Palm Beach. It's out here in the west. You have Lake Worth Beach, West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Delray Beach, Boynton Beach. It is all about the beach. You see the theme that we have going on here. Fort Lauderdale has some of the best beaches in the world, and you can go down here, obviously, to Miami Beach, right? It's all about the beaches down here, depending on what type of beach that you like. So continue on with recreation. We get these questions all the time. What is there to do? It's like, well, what's important to you? What do you like to do? Do you like to tennis, golf, fishing? Do you like to go and gather seashells and these kind of things? I wanted to give you, for the purposes of this, to really, I've mentioned it. I could do 100 videos, hundreds of videos on golf in Florida. There is golf courses everywhere in Florida. And just to give you an idea, but all of these little green spots, those are all golf courses, and I'm missing tons of them. Around golf courses or community parks, you're also gonna have tennis. You're gonna have pickleball. You're gonna have bocce. You're gonna have these incredible jungle gyms and gymnasiums, which Catalina loves to go. and climb on. It's really about the outdoor scene. It's about accessibility to just a plethora of golf courses and recreation, from beach to fishing and all of that. And it's all within this small area. This is literally about 30 square miles right around this Deerfield beach. Look at this, golf courses here, golf courses here, golf courses here. Just trying to show you there's incredible access to the golf, pickleball, bocce, all these cool things. Or maybe you just want to go down to the beach, and we've got tons of beaches for you to go to and just maybe relax and get your sun on. Now, when it comes to climate, Deerfield Beach, you're probably not going to get much better than this unless you're down here in the Keys, but that might not be what you want. So Deerfield Beach is right down in this area. In the previous videos, this is a really important thing. Florida, remember, is a really big state. This down here, so the frost line goes right across the state like that. This is actually considered a tropical climate here, and this is a subtropical climate up here. So down here in Deerfield, you're gonna have a range of temperature going from about 65 to 90. It's gonna be on an average in the 80s. It's gonna be humid in the summer and a little bit drier in the winter, but you can't beat the climate here in Deerfield Beach because you're looking at year-round temperatures probably in the mid to low 80s. All right, and coming in at number 3 is Panama City. That's right, we're zooming all the way up here to the northwest. Now, starting off, it's more affordable for a single family home, starting at $311,000 for a single family home in Panama City. Now, Panama City is also known for a spring break theme, so there's a lot of condos on the beach there, but we couldn't find anything that was kind of affordable for that entry-level condo. When you get off of the beach, that's when you're gonna start to find those entry-level homes of $311,000 and up. All right, so when it comes to hospitals, you have Bay Medical Sacred Heart, which is a phenomenal hospital. And then you're also going to have Gulf Coast Regional Hospital up here in Panama City. So you have some great hospitals up in this area. Now, the disadvantage of being up here, as far as international airports, and we got a comment on the last video, for instance, that there is an airport in Melbourne. What I wanted to do here is talk about major airports that you can fly into, that you can have family fly from most anywhere into that. So what you're going to have here in Pensacola, you're going to have your major international airport here. So you're literally going to dive right over to Pensacola and you have a major international airport there. Not as big as Orlando, but you're going to be able to get in some flights in the JetBlue and Southwest and those kind of things. So the other thing, as far as accessibility, we talk about hospitals, we talk about airports. There isn't the major public trans that you're going to have down in these southeast areas that are a lot more congested. There is a local transit system with buses and so forth that is in Panama City, and you're going to have your Uber and that kind of thing. So if you're looking for the income or the median income home to be in that lower 300s, we just think it's a great, affordable, beach budget, seaside town. So that's why we want to include it. Now, as far as recreation is concerned, the beaches up here are next level. So if you are a super beach aficionado, these beaches are some of the best that I've seen in the world. The seashelling there is phenomenal. So the fishing is going to be a lot better. Now, if you're a surfer, probably not going to be the best place for you. That's going to be the East Coast. But as far as paddleboarding in here, kayaking, inshore fishing, offshore fishing, this is going to be a really great spot. All right, so let's talk about temperature up here in Panama City. I mentioned earlier that frost line that goes up from that southwest portion of the state up to the northeast portion of the state. We are a long ways above that frost line. So in the summertime, you're going to be looking at that hot heat. You're going to look at it 80 to 90 degrees with high humidity. In the wintertime, it get down into the 40s and the 60s at some chillier times of the year in the wintertime. Now, if you're from Michigan or you're from New York, might not be that big a deal. You're like, I'll take 40 or 60 all day long. But some people want to move to Florida and they want to be in t-shirts and shorts all the time. And you're probably going to want to be down in this southeast area. So we talked about a lot of things here. The only way to really know if Panama City is right for you, or Deerfield Beach or Sebastian or some of these other spots, you have to reach out to us, give us a call, and we're happy to have a conversation with you about what the best beachside town is for you in Florida. All right, coming in at number 2, we have Palm Bay. which is up here by the Melbourne area and Vero and so forth. Now, the median home price is going to be starting at $144,000. That's going to be for a small condo, definitely not on the beach. And you can go all the way up to $350,000 for that entry-level home in Palm Bay. You actually can get really a new home, rather a 1,500 square foot home, for in the low 300s. Whereas down here in Del Rey, you were looking at 180 or so, and then upwards of 500,000 for that median sale price of a home there. Now, why is that? It's just a little bit slower up here in Palm Bay, as I mentioned with Sebastian. Now that goes into accessibility. I've always said, as you move your way from north to south, the price per square foot goes up. Why is that? Because you're going to have more hospitals, you're going to have more transportation, you're going to have more of that pickleball and golf options and beach options down here and restaurant options. So the price per square foot is going to go up. But say you wanted something that entry level, $144,000, Palm Bay is going to be fantastic for that. Now, bleeding into accessibility. All right, so my teacher has made me almost write this 100 times. I will not say tri-rail when I'm trying to say bright line. What I keep saying tri-rail is because actually the tri-rail does still exist and it runs very, very close to the bright line. But there's a major distinction between the bright line and the tri-rail. The bright line is going to go from Miami all the way up to Orlando. The tri-rail goes from Miami just up into areas of Lake Worth. So now you know when I say this stuff, you know I'm the real deal and I'm not some computer-generated AI bot talking to you. This is authentic, and I'm going to try to say bright line instead of tri-rail. Now, as far as accessibility, Palm Bay has a great hospital. It's called the Palm Bay Hospital. So you're going to have your medical needs taken care of there. If you want something a little more specific with nature to treatment, then you're going to want to come a little bit further south. Now, when it comes to Palm Bay and it comes to recreation, think of the kind of like the Panama City. You're going to have more of the paddleboarding, the inshore fishing. When you look at this, you don't see as many of those golf courses. You can see some green space over in here. You see a little golf course up in here, golf course up in here. Not as many, but you know, this is a smaller area because I zoomed it in. But you can see the St. Sebastian River Preserve State Park. You also can see the Sebastian Inlet State Park, some really cool little museums that are happening down there. So think of Palm Bay a little bit more from the standpoint of like hiking, mountain biking, inshore fishing, very remote kind of beaches. That's what you're going to be looking at as far as accessibility for recreation rather than just golf courses around every corner. This is a little bit more rural up here. All right, lastly, when it comes to Palm Bay, let's talk about that climate. Now remember that frost line. I keep wanting to show you that frost line runs up in here. Palm Bay is up in this area, so it's just a little bit below that frost line. So still in Florida, in the summertime, you're going to be looking 80s to 90s. Humid, that's what you're going to get. Also, because it's a little farther north, you're going to get about a 10-degree differential. So down here in Fort Lauderdale and Deerfield Beach, you're going to be looking at that 75 to 85 in the winter. Up here, you could be looking at 55 to 65, 70 in the winter. You definitely can start to get a little bit cooler as you work your way north. It's probably kind of a middle ground between Deerfield Beach and Panama City. It's not going to be nearly as chilly as Panama City, but it's not going to get nearly as hot down there in summertime in Deerfield Beach. Now, before we get to the #1 best beachside town to live in Florida on a budget, I want to encourage you to subscribe. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll see every Friday we have new content that comes out with best beachside town to live in, best community to live in, best restaurants. We'd like to educate the folks that come to our channel about what it's like to live here. So make sure you subscribe so you're the first to get it when we put out new content about what it's like to live in South Florida. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the #1 best beachside town on a budget. Now remember, this is on a budget. Drum roll, please. It is Fort Pierce, Florida. Fort Pierce right up here. Now, the reason that we chose Fort Pierce, that I took all of this criteria, we took accessibility, we took median income or median sale price of a home, recreation, and climate. These are the questions that we get asked by retirees. So I wanted to look at the whole state and say, where's the median sale price home? Where's the best accessibility for people that want to have accessibility to hospitals? I worked all that out. And the reason that Fort Pierce came up was, remember, it's on a budget, okay? It also has the other aspects that I'm gonna dive into, but one of the things that I wanted to mention right off the bat, everything isn't all rainbows and rosebuds, right? There are areas where people would wanna live and there's areas where people wouldn't wanna live, and that's all a preference, right? So at the end of the day, I want you to really look at Fort Pierce from the criteria that I'm trying to show you, or you can reach out to us and we can point you in the areas of like, hey, maybe this is kind of where you want to be. This is kind of where you don't want to be. You know what I mean? That's where you want to work with somebody local. So diving right into that first criteria, the median sale price of a single family home in Fort Pierce started at $180 and it went up to $220. Now, is that going to be a home on the beach? No, but this is a seaside or beachside community. So any of the homes here in Fort Pierce, even out here on the outskirts, you're going to be looking at no longer than a 15-minute drive. You literally could be 15 minutes to the beach. So this is a beachside town with beachside feel. There's a downtown area. So as far as public transportation, there is a shuttle and there is a small bus system that works throughout Fort Pierce. But if you're up in Fort Pierce, it's only, depending on where you are, a 20-minute drive down to Stewart, where you can hop on that Bright Line. Now, as far as accessibility to hospitals, we do have the Martin Memorial Healthcare System, which was taken over by the Cleveland Clinic, and it still does have aspects of the Martin Memorial Healthcare System. There actually is a branch up here in St. Lucie of the Cleveland Clinic as well. So as far as access to major airports, there's 2 exits in Fort Pierce for the Turnpike and 95. So that's got great access. So you literally could be down here at the West Palm Beach International Airport in probably about an hour and a half. If you want to come down to Fort Lauderdale, you're looking at about 2 hours. From Fort Pierce to Orlando International Airport, you're looking at about an hour and a half, depending on where you are in Fort Pierce. All right, so one of the things that I love about Fort Pierce is the recreation, and I know you guys thinking I'm going to go to golf, but I want to actually start off with something very special for a lot of people here in Florida, and that is this inlet right here. Now, this inlet, you can go in here. There's actually spots that you can go right along here, and this is turquoise water, like Caribbean turquoise, beautiful, beautiful water. If you're a boater, this inlet right here is one of the best inlets to come into from the Atlantic. It's deep water. It's very, very safe. It doesn't stack up, meaning there's not a lot of waves in here. And all in these little islands in here and these little archipelagos, you can paddleboard, you can kayak, you can go out in your pontoon boat. The fishing is awesome. And then there's all these different places where you can bring a kayak up for the day or your paddleboard and hang out right in here. So the recreation, literally, this is Fort Pierce, right? So any of these areas, and this is actually Western Fort Pierce, you can have access to this beach within 10 or 15 minutes. You can make it right in here. Now I'm gonna clear some of this stuff off the board. Now, we wanna get in on some golf courses here. You got some great golf courses down here. You got Fairwinds up here. This is Gator Trace. Now remember, I've talked about it before. If you want some world-class golf, Fort Pierce is right here. Here's the PGA Village. So you literally could hop on the Turnpike and be down, or a 95, and be right down at PGA Village within 15 or 20 minutes from any area here and come down to this great golf here. And the last is the climate. The climate is in that southeast area. It's kind of this sweet spot because it is more rural. It doesn't kind of catch all the heat like West Palm Beach and Fort Lauderdale do, but we are still well south of that frost line, or it doesn't get as cool, but it doesn't get as hot as it does down in Miami. It is a real sweet spot. I want you to just think about Fort Pierce from an aspect of best budget beachside towns. So that's why Fort Pierce is the #1 best beachside town on a budget. On a budget, remember, so that starts off with that median sale price and then goes into all those criteria. All right, so we went all over Florida, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast to find you the best beachside town on a budget. And I think we found some really great options out there. But I'd like to hear from you on which one kind of resonated the most with you and why. Does it not matter to be close to the bright line, or don't let me say tri-rail again? Or is it important to you to be next to golf or fishing or what have you? Or maybe you want to be really close to a hospital, or maybe it just comes down to the budget, the price of that home. So drop a comment below for what you thought was the best beachside town. Hey, and by the way, drop a comment below if there's a town that you would like me to do a video on, especially down here in the Southeast Florida area. We'd love to hear from you. We'll see you on the next video.